The history of drunk driving mirrors a journey that has evolved alongside technology, culture, and our understanding of public safety. From the days when horse-drawn carriages were the primary mode of transportation to today's high-tech autonomous vehicles, our approach to handling impaired driving has changed dramatically. But how did we get here? In this video, we'll take you on a ride through history, exploring the origins of drunk driving laws, the cultural shifts that spurred change, and the technological advances that continue to shape this critical issue. So fasten your seatbelt. This is a trip through time. Long before the automobile, alcohol was deeply embedded in everyday life, especially in social settings like taverns and inns. In the 18th and 19th centuries, drinking alcohol was a central part of social interactions, with establishments such as taverns serving as key venues for business discussions and political discourse. In colonial America, for example, the average person consumed around 5.8 gallons of pure alcohol per capita by 1770. Alcohol wasn't just a recreational drink, it was part of daily routines and integral to community life. According to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, these drinking establishments became centers of social and political life where people from all walks of life gathered. In this context, alcohol consumption was not only normalized but expected, forming a cultural norm that persisted long before the advent of automobiles. As the automobile took over in the early 20th century, transportation transformed at an astonishing pace. Two images of Fifth Avenue, just 13 years apart, capture this shift vividly, one bustling with horses and a lone car, the other packed with cars and a single remaining horse, marking the dawn of the motor age. This transformation brought with it the need for new laws and regulations to address emerging issues like drunk driving. In 1910, New York became the first state in the U.S. to introduce a law specifically prohibiting drunk driving. However, these laws were still very much in their infancy. There was little understanding of how alcohol impairment affected driving, and enforcement was often left up to police discretion. This lack of regulation worsened during the Prohibition era from 1920 to 1933, when alcohol was prohibited nationwide. Despite the ban, alcohol consumption initially dropped, but later rebounded to approximately 60 to 70% of pre-prohibition levels as illegal production and distribution increased. This resurgence led to growing concerns about alcohol-related driving accidents, with police forces reporting a rise in incidents. Then, in the 1930s, a major breakthrough occurred with the invention of the drunkometer, a device that could measure the level of alcohol in a driver's breath. This marked the beginning of the shift from police observation to more scientific methods for detecting impaired driving. With these advancements, laws began to evolve, and more states started to implement their own drunk driving regulations. Blood alcohol concentration limits were first introduced, starting at a relatively high 0.15% in some areas, but for many years, drunk driving remained somewhat of a gray area. There were few standards, and public perception of drunk driving didn't yet carry the heavy social stigma it does today. As automobiles became more widespread, so did the culture of drinking and driving. In the mid-20th century, movies, advertisements, and even popular songs often depicted drunk driving as a casual, sometimes humorous, part of life. For instance, the song "One for My Baby" and "One More for the Road" by Frank Sinatra is about a man reflecting on heartbreak, often linking alcohol with emotional escape, a theme common in the era. Similarly, Ford car commercials in the 1950s depicted young adults driving carefree in their cars, often with a drink in hand, contributing to the cultural normalization of drinking while driving. But as tragic accidents began to pile up, public opinion started to shift. High-profile incidents involving drunk drivers, such as the 2013 case of Ethan Couch, who killed 4 people while driving under the influence, coupled with growing awareness of the dangers posed by impaired driving, pushed the issue to the forefront of public consciousness. This growing concern over drunk driving was further fueled by tragedies like the death of 13-year-old Carrie Lightner in 1980. Her mother, Candy Lightner, founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving after Carrie was killed by a repeat drunk driver. Lightner's determination to create change helped galvanize a growing movement for stricter drunk driving laws and heightened awareness. In the years following, MAD and other advocacy groups pushed for tougher legislation, including lowering BAC limits and implementing harsher penalties for drunk drivers. The impact of this push was evident. By the mid-1980s, drunk driving accidents began to decline, and public attitudes shifted from tolerance to condemnation of the act. By 2004, the legal BAC limit for drivers was reduced to 0.08% across the U.S., a significant milestone in the fight against drunk driving. Alongside this change, zero-tolerance policies for underage drivers were introduced, making it illegal for anyone under the age of 21 to drive with any detectable alcohol in their system. These new regulations sent a strong message that impaired driving, regardless of the driver's age, was no longer socially acceptable. At the same time, technology was making strides that would help prevent drunk driving. One of the tools in this regard was the ignition interlock device, which prevents a vehicle from starting if the driver has alcohol on their breath. These devices began to be implemented more widely in the early 2000s as part of court-ordered penalties for convicted drunk drivers. Meanwhile, public service announcements like "Friends don't let friends drive drunk" became a cultural mainstay, helping to reinforce the message that impaired driving was dangerous and irresponsible. In recent years, the rise of ride-sharing services like Uber has also had a significant impact on drunk driving. With the convenience of getting a ride at the touch of a button, many people are opting to leave their cars at home when they go out drinking rather than risking driving under the influence. This shift has led to a noticeable decline in DUI incidents in areas where ride-sharing is prevalent. In fact, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2019 found a significant reduction in traffic-related trauma cases and drunk driving conviction rates after Uber was introduced in Houston. Additionally, a 2021 analysis by the National Bureau of Economic Research estimated that Uber reduced alcohol-related traffic fatalities in the U.S. by about 6% in areas where the service was available. Another challenge on the horizon is the potential role of autonomous vehicles in eliminating drunk driving. With self-driving cars poised to become more common in the coming decades, the question arises, will these vehicles effectively put an end to drunk driving altogether? While the technology promises to reduce human error and improve road safety, there are still many hurdles to overcome, such as ensuring the safety and reliability of these systems. In conclusion, after years of evolving laws, cultural changes, and technological advancements, there has been a noticeable decrease in drunk driving fatalities. This decline highlights how these factors have collectively shaped and reduced the tragedies associated with alcohol-related accidents on the road. For instance, between 1982 and 2022, the rate of alcohol-impaired driving fatalities per 100,000 population in the United States decreased by 55%. But what do you think? Are there still more steps that can be taken to reduce these accidents even further? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more history videos here on Histopedia.